The candle flickered, casting eerie shadows on the peeling wallpaper. The small cabin, deep in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, smelled of damp wood and something else, something old and metallic. Ethan Carter sat hunched over a leather-bound journal, its pages yellowed with age. He had spent years researching cryptid sightings, chasing legends, but this time felt different. The stories he had uncovered weren't just myths whispered around campfires. They were real. A cold wind pressed against the window, making the old glass tremble. Ethan turned the page, his fingers shaking. The entry read, December 13th, 1978, Hollow Pines. We heard it again. The howl. It's not a wolf. Wolves don't mimic human voices. A sharp thud against the cabin's door made Ethan freeze. His breath clouded in the frigid air. The sound came again, heavier this time, like something large shifting its weight. His flashlight flickered as he reached for the shotgun by his side. Then the voice came, a whisper, not outside, but from just behind him. The candle flickered, casting eerie shadows on the peeling wallpaper. Ethan Carter had been warned, by fellow researchers, by locals, even by the unease in his own gut. Don't go looking for them. If they want you to see them, you will. But Ethan wasn't the kind to back away from a mystery. He had spent over a decade chronicling strange encounters, investigating folklore that refused to die. Chupacabras in Texas, skinwalkers in Arizona. But here, deep in the Michigan wilderness, something different lurked. Something that left behind claw marks on trees 10 feet high. Something that made the forest go silent when it passed through. And now, in this abandoned cabin in Hollow Pines, he had finally found what he was looking for: evidence. The leather-bound journal in his hands was old, its pages yellowed and brittle. The final entries were erratic, as if written in a fevered state. December 13th, 1978, Hollow Pines. We heard it again. The howl. It's not a wolf. Wolves don't mimic human voices. A gust of wind howled through the cracks in the walls, rattling the warped wooden planks. Outside, the tree line loomed, gnarled branches twisting in the dim glow of the cabin's lantern light. Ethan rubbed his tired eyes and reached for his tape recorder. His fingers brushed against his shotgun first. A precaution, just in case. He pressed record. March 18th, 2025. Hollow Pines, Michigan, 2:17 a.m. The cabin is colder than it should be. Feels like something is breathing against my skin. I found what looks like an old hunter's journal. Mentions something unnatural. The locals claim this place is cursed, that the forest belongs to it. A sharp thud against the door made Ethan freeze. His breath clouded in the frigid air. The candle flame wavered violently, then snuffed out. Silence pressed against his ears. The sound came again. A low, dragging scrape. Across the wooden porch, as if claws were raking the surface. Ethan's heart slammed against his ribs. He reached for his shotgun with one hand, his flashlight with the other. The beam quivered as he aimed it at the door. Then, the voice came. A whisper, not outside, but from just behind him. You shouldn't have come here. Ethan spun, flashlight trembling. Nothing. But the air had changed. It felt heavier, charged with something unseen. His pulse pounded in his throat as he turned back to the journal, flipping frantically through the pages. December 14th, 1978, Hollow Pines. I saw its eyes, yellow, watching from the tree line. It knows I see it. It won't let me leave. A chill slithered down Ethan's spine. A sudden scratching sound echoed from the cabin's roof, slow and deliberate. The weight of something heavy shifting, moving above him. He swallowed hard, forcing himself to think rationally. A raccoon, a branch, the wind. But no, this was something else. The journal had mentioned it, buried between frantic scribbles. December 15th, 1978, Hollow Pines. It's on the roof. I can hear it breathing, waiting. The door won't hold. A low, guttural growl resonated through the cabin's wooden frame. Ethan's flashlight flickered, then went dark, and in that thick, suffocating darkness, he finally heard it. The howl. Long, drawn out, almost human, and terrifyingly close. The candle flickered, casting eerie shadows on the peeling wallpaper. Ethan Carter had spent his life chasing stories that other people dismissed as myth. Paranormal investigator, cryptid researcher, urban legend debunker. He had been called all of these things. Some respected him. Most thought he was insane. But he didn't care, because he had seen things. Things no one could explain. That's why he was here. The old hunting cabin stood deep in the heart of Hollow Pines, a stretch of untouched Michigan wilderness that the locals refused to talk about after dark. They called it the Silent Woods. The place where the howls came from. The place where people disappeared. Ethan had been warned. If you go looking for it, it will find you first. And yet, he had come. The interior of the cabin smelled of mildew and dust, the wooden planks beneath his boots creaking with every cautious step. Moonlight seeped through a cracked window, illuminating the claw marks. On the door, long, deep gouges that had torn straight through the wood. Not bear claws, not human either. Ethan swallowed hard, adjusting the strap of his satchel. His recording equipment, camera, and loaded shotgun sat inside. Precautions. But he wasn't here to hunt. He was here to document. He ran his fingers over the journal on the table, leather-bound, yellowed pages, written in frantic, uneven script, a relic from the last man who had stayed here. The final entries sent a chill through him. December 13th, 1978, Hollow Pines. I heard it again. That voice. It's not human, but it sounds like one. December 14th, 1978, Hollow Pines. It's watching me. Eyes in the trees. It's getting closer. December 15th, 1978, Hollow Pines. It's on the roof. The wind rattled the cabin, making the walls groan. Ethan exhaled slowly, pulling out his recorder. Click. March 18th, 2025. Hollow Pines, Michigan, 2:17 a.m. I've been here for 3 nights now. The locals refused to guide me, said the forest wasn't safe after sundown. That something walks these woods, something ancient. He hesitated, fingers tightening around the device. I think they were right. A sudden thud against the cabin's door made his blood run cold. The wind had been strong all night, but this wasn't the wind. It was deliberate. A heavy weight shifting, pressing against the door. His pulse quickened. Then, a slow, dragging scratch. Claws against wood. Ethan's breath hitched. He reached for his flashlight, the beam shaking as he pointed it toward the door. The candle on the table flickered violently, then snuffed out. Silence. The air grew thick, suffocating, the kind of silence that pressed into your ears, filling them with an unnatural stillness. Ethan's heartbeat pounded in his chest, his fingers tightening around the handle of his shotgun. He wasn't alone anymore. And then came the voice, not from outside. From behind him. You shouldn't have come here. His blood turned to ice. He spun around, the flashlight cutting through the darkness, empty. But the air had changed. It felt occupied. Something was breathing in the room with him. The floorboards above him creaked. Something was on the roof. A low, guttural growl vibrated through the walls. Ethan's flashlight flickered. The air turned thick with the scent of wet fur and copper. Then, the howl, long, drawn out, almost human, and terrifyingly close. The howl lingered in the air, reverberating through the trees like a mournful cry. It was distant, but wrong. Too long, too deep, too human-like. Ethan stood frozen, gripping the shotgun in one hand and his flashlight in the other. His mind scrambled for an explanation. A wolf? A coyote? Some kind of animal with a throat infection? But deep down, he knew better. He clicked on his recorder. His voice came out shaky. March 18th, 2025, 2:22 a.m. I just heard something outside, possibly an animal, but it doesn't sound right. I think it's watching me. A soft, scraping sound cut through the silence. Not outside. Inside. Ethan slowly turned, shining his flashlight toward the far end of the cabin. The wooden planks near the door groaned, as if something was shifting its weight. His stomach clenched. There's nothing there. Another gust of wind rattled the window, and the candle, long snuffed out, relit itself. The flame danced, casting twisted shadows across the walls. Ethan's breath hitched. He took a step back, his mind reeling. Not possible. Then, knock, knock, knock. 3 slow, deliberate taps against the door. Ethan stiffened. Not the wind, not an animal. Someone or something was outside. Heart hammering, he crept forward. The journal's last entries clawed at his mind. It knocks. It waits. It wants me to open the door. He exhaled sharply. Number. He wouldn't fall for it. Instead, he reached for his camera, lifting it to the cracked window. He pressed record and slowly turned the lens toward the porch. The screen flickered. For a moment, it showed nothing but darkness. Just the empty, rotting porch. Then something moved. A shape, hunched and too large to be human, shifted at the tree line. Eyes glowed yellow in the shadows. Ethan sucked in a breath. The camera screen glitched violently, distorting the image into jagged streaks. And then, just as quickly, the figure was gone. A metallic taste filled his mouth. He dropped the camera, stepping back. Shit. The room suddenly felt smaller, colder. And then, something even worse happened. His phone rang. The shrill, unnatural ringtone shattered the silence. Ethan's body locked up. He hadn't received a single bar of service since he arrived. He slowly reached into his pocket. The caller ID was unknown. He answered. Static. Faint, distant breathing. Then, a voice. His own voice. You shouldn't have come here. The call cut off. Ethan stumbled backward, his lungs tightening. This isn't real. This isn't real. The cabin walls creaked, shifted. The air grew thick with the scent of wet fur and decay. Then came the whispers. Low, unintelligible at first, then shaping into something familiar. Ethan. It came from behind him. Every instinct screamed not to turn around, but he did. The journal was open on the table, pages flipping on their own. The candle's flame stretched unnaturally high, casting a shadow that wasn't his. Then, the cabin door creaked open. A rush of cold air hit him, and standing in the doorway was a man. Or at least, it used to be a man. The stranger. The figure was gaunt, wrapped in tattered flannel and denim that clung to his emaciated frame. His skin was grey, leathery, stretched too tight over his bones. His face was wrong, hollowed out, his eyes sunken, pupils too large. His mouth quirked into something that wasn't quite a smile. And when he spoke, his voice was both a whisper and a growl. You see them now, don't you? Ethan's throat tightened. The hell is this? The man's gaze flicked toward the journal, then back at him. You read his words. You opened the door. Ethan instinctively raised the shotgun. The man didn't flinch, didn't even blink. He simply tilted his head. Bones cracked in his neck as he did. You don't believe yet, but you will. Then, in an instant, he was gone. Ethan staggered back, chest heaving. No footprints, no sign of the door moving, like he had never been there at all. But the scent of rotting fur still lingered in the air. Ethan's gaze darted to the journal. The last entry had changed. March 18th, 2025, Hollow Pines. It knows your name now. His stomach lurched. From outside, something exhaled. A deep, heavy, inhuman breath. Ethan turned slowly. The window. And there, staring in at him from the darkness, two glowing yellow eyes. Ethan's breath hitched in his throat. The yellow eyes gleamed from the darkness just beyond the cabin's window, too high off the ground to belong to any normal animal. It was watching him. The air in the cabin turned dense, thick with the suffocating scent of wet fur and blood. His pulse pounded as the thing outside exhaled, a deep rattling breath that vibrated in his ribs. And then, it moved. A shadow unfurled from the tree line, shifting, growing, stretching too tall, too wide. The shape wasn't human, wasn't animal. It was something in between. A guttural snarl rumbled from its throat, a sound that sent ice skittering down Ethan's spine. His fingers trembled around the shotgun. Run! His brain screamed at him to move, but his body stayed locked in place. The thing outside tilted its head unnaturally, studying him. Then, it raised one clawed hand and pressed it against the glass. Deep grooves formed in the old window pane as the claws dug in, scraping slowly, deliberately. Ethan staggered back, knocking over the journal. Pages flipped violently on their own, as if something was inside, trying to crawl out. December 16th, 1978, Hollow Pines. I saw its true form tonight. It wears human skin, but it's not human. Never was. The Dogman isn't a legend, it's a warning. A violent crash shattered the night. The window exploded inward. Glass rained down as Ethan dove to the floor, shielding his face. The wind roared through the gaping hole in the cabin, carrying the unmistakable scent of carrion. Then came the sound of claws scraping against wood. It was inside. Ethan scrambled to his feet, heart hammering. The shotgun felt useless in his hands. His instincts screamed that this wasn't something bullets could stop. A massive shadow loomed in the doorway. The thing that had been outside was now standing in his cabin. The candlelight flickered, revealing glimpses of its shape. Elongated limbs, a body covered in patches of coarse black fur. Clawed hands, human-like, but grotesquely wrong. And the face. The face was the worst part. A mockery of something human, stretched and distorted, as if the skin had been stolen and forced to fit over a wolf's skull. Its jaw was too long, teeth too sharp, and when it grinned, it looked just like the man Ethan had seen in the doorway. A tremor of pure, primal horror rolled through him. This thing wasn't just a creature. It had been human once. And then, it spoke. He saw us too. The voice was low, broken, a blend of human and beast, a voice that didn't belong in this world. The journal's entries flashed in Ethan's mind. It wears human skin, but it's not human. The Dogman isn't a legend, it's a warning. His stomach dropped. These weren't just cryptid sightings, these were transformations. The Dogman wasn't an animal, it was something far, far worse. It had once been men. A sickening realization clawed through his gut. The journal's last owner, the hunter from 1978, he hadn't disappeared. He had become one of them, and now they had chosen Ethan. The beast lunged. Ethan fired. The shotgun blast roared through the cabin. The creature jerked back, snarling. Dark, thick fluid oozed from the wound, but it didn't fall, didn't even slow. Instead, it laughed, a guttural, distorted sound that barely belonged to a living thing. Then, it moved, too fast. It slammed into Ethan, knocking him hard against the wall. The impact stole the air from his lungs. His vision blurred. Blood trickled from his forehead. The last thing he saw before darkness took him. The creature's face, inches from his own. grinning. The transformation. Ethan woke to pain. His head pounded, his chest ached, his body felt wrong. The cabin was gone. He was outside now, on the forest floor. The moon burned overhead, too bright, too sharp. Every sound, the rustling leaves, the distant howl of wolves, was deafening. His fingers dug into the dirt. Not fingers, claws. Terror crashed through him. He tried to stand, but his body didn't move like it should. His limbs were longer, his spine arched unnaturally, and his skin was splitting. Dark fur pushed through. A sharp, unbearable ache spread through his jaw as his bones stretched, shifted. His breath hitched in ragged, animalistic gasps. No, no, no. He wasn't human anymore. A howl rose in his throat, and in the distance, from the depths of hollow pines, something howled back, welcoming him home, then tried to scream. But what came out was a snarl, a deep, guttural sound that wasn't his own. His limbs trembled violently, joints popping and realigning into something unnatural. His fingers, no, his claws, sank into the earth as the transformation consumed him. Somewhere in the depths of his unraveling mind, he fought against it. This isn't happening. This isn't real. But it was. The wind shifted, and suddenly, the world exploded in new sensations. The scent of damp leaves was overwhelming. Every individual blade of grass a sharp, distinct fragrance. The rhythmic thrum of a rabbit's heartbeat pounded in his ears from yards away. Everything was too loud, too clear. And then, a presence. Something massive stepped into the clearing. The other one, the thing that had attacked him in the cabin. It stood at the edge of the trees, its yellow eyes glowing with an unnatural intelligence. Watching, waiting. Ethan's body trembled. A war raged inside him, the last fragments of his human self desperately clinging to existence, while the new, monstrous part of him threatened to take over. I'm still me. He forced himself to move, to take a step backward, to resist. But the other creature let out a low, guttural growl, and something inside him responded. The need to obey, the need to follow. Ethan gritted his teeth, clamping down on the violent hunger blooming in his chest. I won't become this. The creature's ears flicked, considering him. Then, it lunged. Instinct took over. Ethan twisted, faster than he'd ever moved before, dodging just as the beast's claws tore through the air. He barely had time to react before it turned, its jaw snapping inches from his throat. It was playing with him, testing him. I won't play your game. With a roar, Ethan forced himself to run. He bolted into the trees, his breath coming out in ragged, unnatural snarls. His new, monstrous body wanted to chase, to hunt, to be one of them. But his mind, what was left of it, screamed at him to keep running. Branches whipped against his face. His claws tore through the undergrowth. The forest blurred past in streaks of green and black. Behind him, the creature gave chase. It was toying with him, letting him think he could escape. Ethan pushed harder, ignoring the burning in his muscles, ignoring the fact that he didn't even have human muscles anymore. Ahead, through the trees, a road. His truck, his salvation. A surge of hope nearly brought him to his knees. He wasn't too far gone. He could still make it. With a final burst of strength, he lunged forward, bursting from the tree line and sprinting toward his truck. His claws scraped the dirt as he fumbled for the door handle. Don't! A voice. Human. Ethan froze. The words had come from inside his head, and yet they weren't his. A warning, a command, a presence loomed behind him. Slowly, trembling, Ethan turned his head. The creature stood at the edge of the woods, but this time it wasn't snarling, it wasn't attacking, it was just watching. Its yellow eyes bored into his, and in that moment, Ethan understood. The truck, the road, the escape. It wasn't real. None of this was. This place, this moment, was a trap, a test. The last part of his human mind was begging him to run, But the other part of him, the part that was changing, was telling him the truth. The choice had already been made. He was never meant to leave. The trees seemed to close in. The road flickered like an illusion, warping and distorting at the edges. And then, the sound of footsteps. Not just one, dozens. Shapes emerged from the darkness of the forest. Not just creatures, people. Or at least, they had been once. Men, women, faces twisted, bodies half changed, their human forms battling against something else, something ancient. They had all come to Hollow Pines just like him, and none of them had ever left. Ethan's breath shuddered. His truck, his escape, his old life. They were all gone now. And then, the first figure stepped forward. It was the man from the cabin. His flesh was pale, his eyes completely black. He smiled in that same horrible, stretched way. "You see it now, don't you?" Ethan's body betrayed him. His head lowered, his claws twitched. His new brothers and sisters were waiting, and somewhere, deep in the woods, the alpha howled. Ethan felt it this time, not as a sound, as a command. His new instincts obeyed, and when the others threw their heads back and howled in return, Ethan did too. Final scene. 3 weeks later. The Hollow Pines Police Department issued a statement today regarding the ongoing investigation into the disappearance of cryptid researcher Ethan Carter. Carter, 34, was last seen entering the Hollow Pines forest on March 15, 2025, reportedly in search of evidence related to the legend of the Michigan Dogman. Despite an extensive search, authorities have found no sign of Carter or his vehicle. Local reports describe the area as being the site of multiple unexplained disappearances dating back to the early 1900s. As of today, Ethan Carter is presumed dead. A spokesperson for the Sheriff's Department advised the public to avoid the Hollow Pines region after dark. No further information has been released. However, on the night of March 21st, a group of local hunters reported hearing strange howls from deep within the woods. One described the sound as almost human. Final line. Somewhere in the darkness, the Hollow Pines pack watched the news report, silent, waiting, and at the edge of the trees, a lone figure stood. His yellow eyes gleamed as he turned, disappearing into the woods with the others. Lingering mystery. The legend of the Dogman lives on, and Ethan is now a part of it.